You're tuned into the Unnecessary Harm podcast, where we drill down on issues of substance use and its cultural impact. Your host, Shane Barco, Executive Director of the Delgado Institute, with over 40 years' experience in youth and community work and a passion for building resilience.
Our guest today is Paul Tolliday, educator, Indigenous advocate, adopted mob member, and with a Masters in Indigenous Knowledges, Mawa-Rom. Also joining us today is Rahima Namatjira, a young Western Arnda, got it right?
Arrente.
Man from
Arrente.
Hermannsburg and Alice Springs in the Northern Territory. Student, culture champion, and budding rock star. Together, we are going to discuss cultural strength, resilience, substance use, and smart approaches to all of the above. Hey, welcome to the Unnecessary Harm podcast, guys. Good to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting us.
Oh, I see you're so excited to be here. It's fantastic. Awesome. Look, it's great having you here. I know you're in the NT right now, so it's a bit of a trick with time and internet connection. But look, Rahima, just to kick us off, a little bit about yourself, because I'm interested. I saw some of your music. You're in a band.
Yes.
Tell our listeners a little bit about your band. What's your name? Your band, your rock style. What's the gig all about? Tell us a little bit about that, my friend.
The band is about brotherhood.
You're supporting one another, eh?
Yeah.
Cool.
So what's the band called?
Tracks.
What's it called?
Yeah, and Tracks is made up from the initials of their
Tracks.
first names.
Aha. Yeah. Yeah. I had a bit of a look at your clip, mate. I was impressed. It was a good job. But so, what's your style? What's the band's style, mate?
It's reggae.
Aha. And that's something you just decided on together, landed on together, or is it kind of something that was organic? Like, I thought, let's do reggae, or is it we really want to do reggae?
We had two choices, reggae and rock, but we landed on reggae.
Yeah, and reggae is very popular here in the centre.
Absolutely. I understand that. For cultural relevance, mate, I get it. So it's kind of you got to run with the what's going to work. So that's good news. So a little bit more sort of getting into what we're on about and what we and I like the concept that you've just shared with us about brotherhood, about supporting one another, about being together, having a purpose and that kind of thing. That's exceptional, and I think that's one of the big issues around resiliency that'll probably come out of today's chat. But tell me, well, you guys both together, you can bounce off each other. What does healthy community and a healthy mob look like for you guys in the Red Centre? What does that look like?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, culture is really important. And so staying connected to culture is probably one of the primary things. Because with culture comes identity, it's a sense of belonging, a place, and, it's a broad word, but, we're, like Rahima's here at a boarding school, but he's not, we're not here making him non-Indigenous or anything. We want to celebrate his Indigenous culture and background and find ways of, developing that as well as him learning, getting strong in English and maths and other things as well. But what are some of the other important things there, Rahima?
Food, hunting, like some storytelling. Yeah,
So again, that's all connected with culture. Is to do the hunting, to do the gathering, to be living that lifestyle that is a traditional form,
Yep.
even in this modern world, and to be able to sit down and tell stories, to reminisce on the past, to know where he's come from, and where you've come from is a part of where you are now and where you're going to head in the future as well. So just that opportunity to tell stories, be with family, all that's really important.
Absolutely. No, I like the way you ground that. I mean, in some of the things you shared previously with us is like the hunting and the fishing and the ceremony and the connection to the land and all that, how that works together. And what it does for someone who's not connected in that space, and a lot of people sadly aren't, Rahima, and the stories that we often tell, in our culture, are kind of passing fads, whereas stories that you guys talk about are tradition, and it's about family, about connecting. So when it comes, and one of the things we do as an organisation, we have our platform called World Resiliency Day, World Resiliency Week, and we look at celebrating resiliency and what sort of contributes to that and what sort of adds to that. And these things are very, very important factors in building a resilient individual. Someone who's got a good bungee rope, if you like. They bounce back when they fall. Everyone falls. Everybody falls. But a good bungee rope helps you bounce back instead of going splat. And these are the things that are really important. But what I'm interested in when it comes to the stories, how does that if you could tell us, how does that anchor you? And you know what I mean by anchor? Like, how does that anchor you into being healthy and strong and on?
So the stories that just sharing with family and everything, how does that make you feel strong in who you are and help you make decisions?
Like, it's just getting used to the land and like.
Yep, cool.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, like when we looked at, we were talking about this the other day, and I said, what's a part of, that healthy question that you were asking, and
Sure.
The funny thing was I put it down the list, but the first thing that Rahima said was to ban alcohol.
Yeah.
He saw that was a way of of seeing healthiness, and because I guess he's probably aware that with alcohol, it destroys stories, destroys relationships, destroys connection, destroys all sorts of things if it's, particularly if it's used excessively and repeatedly. And, maybe that's just another way of him sharing a little bit on how, just to be able to share stories and to be able, and that that history coming to him allows him to be solid where he is now, because he's making choices of not going one path and he's going another one. So, you want to add anything to that?
No.
A man of few words. I like it. I'm not. So you help me. You're balancing me out, mate. It's good. One of the things that I'm fascinated by, and as you said, you've had a bit of a look at this, is, and I obviously it's maybe a tough question. If you don't want to answer, I get it. Paul's sort of intimated, suggested that obviously alcohol and drugs, other drugs, can really unravel culture and really do it damage, particularly family and the stories and what they mean, and disrupt that. Are you able to share, in your space, what are some of the really good things you've experienced from not being in that space? What are, sure that you see what's happened for people who have gone in that space and what may or may not have happened to them. Not necessarily want to talk about that, but how's that helped you by staying out of that space? What are some of the advantages for not engaging in substance use, alcohol drinking and weed and whatever?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll give you a nudge in a certain direction. I mean, think about your sport. Not drinking and stuff like that. How's that choice that you've made not to drink helped you with your football and stuff?
Drinking is like killing your body. Like you can't do thing. If you drink a lot, you get addicted to it, and you can't stop until you're dead.
Yep.
Even weed, it's the same thing. Like if you can't, if you wanna follow your future, like your goal, just don't ruin it for yourself.
Yeah, and Shane, I do need to. He gets a hard time about it, but he's a North Melbourne supporter.
So's my son. It's all right. I've got a handkerchief here. I've got a handkerchief here. It's all good. We'll cry later.
Yeah, but he has but he has AFL aspirations. Even if it's locally, and if it does get that far, our school has a Clontarf Academy, which which so they're training a few days a week. They're playing other schools. They might get identified to go on to the other levels and stuff. So there is opportunity in that space. And even this past week we've talked a bit about what would your dream job be, and Rahima, what was yours?
Please.
Yeah, police officer. So
Yeah.
and do you think
Cool.
alcohol and police officer fit together?
I've got plenty of friends in the force, my friend, and it's not an easy job. And alcohol, in fact, here's a heads up for you. 12, 13 years ago, I had a police officer friend of mine said, and I'm quoting now, if alcohol did not exist, I would be out of a job. And he was based in Melbourne. So that's how bad it was for him. So, it's a great aspiration, mate. And I like, again, the whole physical side. Obviously, music, creativity, the sport, family, community, connecting, being physically healthy. Of course, alcohol and other drugs just strip that from you. And the trade-off is you might get a buzz. You might have a good time, and then you got to pay for it later. That's the irony of this issue. But now, some of the things you talked about previously when it comes to mental health stuff. Obviously, sport was important for you, and music. But what other things, physical things, help you stay healthy reaching your goals, going for the things you need to go? And what are some of the things, besides obviously activities, that you think are really key for helping you stay physically and mentally healthy?
Exercise, sleep, drinking water, eat healthy, listen to music, and just relax.
What does eating healthy look like?
Oh,
So bush tucker? Is bush tucker involved in that, or?
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, good.
But okay, so then what's your favourite? What do you like? Kangaroo or some of the berries and fruits, or?
I really love the what do you call it? Bush potato. Like they're really sweet when you and also the honey ant.
Yeah, honey ant again. It must be a bit of a sweet tooth, I reckon.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I'm actually a rue meat fan. It's in fact, rue is a superfood. It's actually registered as a superfood. 0 cholesterol, high in iron, no fat. It's a really good meat, and I like the taste. A lot of people don't, but I really like rue. I've had crocodile, didn't ring my bell. Yeah, it was all right, but I didn't go back for seconds. Getting back to the music, getting back to because the music is about obviously connection, brotherhood, supporting one another, but there's also a creative side of this as well, and there's a message in what you do. Tell us about what you hope to do through the band. What's some of the things you hope to do socially for your community?
Probably visit some communities, play there, and make more music, make more songs.
And the hope is, if they perform somewhere, that'll be dry events and everyone will have fun without the drinking and other things, and it'll, it's just people have good times that they remember. And if the message is positive about, that, because the guys in the band, they're all from different communities too. So up from Catherine and here down the centre and everywhere. So but the thing is that they come together because it's they've got a common interest, a common message they want to give, and they like working together. There is a brotherhood there that goes beyond just their local family or community.
Yeah, no, and I like what you've just shared there. I mean, the idea of playing gigs, and it's sort of like just, oh, let's do a gig. But I think the concept of developing environments for entertainment that are substance free. I mean, look, there's always some goose that wants to try and break in upon that. But if you're setting a standard and you're setting a message, and what you do is clear, and you said this is not just about not doing stuff. This is actually about best practice. This is about health and well-being and future and community and connecting. And let's do that without the gear, without substances, guys, and let's have a good time. I think that celebrating that with your message and your band is really, really good, Rahima. And I think that's got great potential for traction. And you'll be happy to know that there's a lot more places now. I mean, you're a bit young at the moment because you're under 18, but there's a lot more places, venues that are going alcohol free, and so looking for performers as well. So that might be something in the future. With your communities, obviously there's different emphasis, I suppose, on depending on what part of the territory you're from. And some communities are dry, which is fantastic. Some are not dry, and when it comes to the use of alcohol and other drugs, and I want to spend a lot of time on this, but it's really important to open this up. What are some of the really negative things you've experienced, if you can share that, without getting too personal about it, naming names? But what are some of the things you've seen that you thought, I wish this did not happen? Are you able to share some of that, Rahima?
Probably some fights that happened. I don't see much between drugs, just alcohol.
Okay.
And you're saying people get louder?
Yeah.
And when they're louder, how's that affect you?
I can't sleep. It's really annoying.
Yeah. You're saying annoying, yeah. And I guess that increases stress levels and other things.
So I was going to say. Well, it's distressing for anybody. Right?
I know he loves his sleep because he tries to sleep through all my classes. That was a little joke.
We'll edit that bit out, all right? No, we won't. That's staying in. That's interesting because obviously you're a quiet man of few words, which is a brilliant thing. And no one likes stress. No one likes angry loud. It is quite distressing. But also it creates, in my experience, and maybe this is similar for you, does it create a disconnect? Like you kind of, you step back and, a person that you want to have a connection with, you're going, I really don't want to be with you right now. This is not helpful. Is that kind of your experience too, mate?
Yes.
How you had 16, 17, mate? Is that right?
14.
Oh, 14. Oh, well, goodness me. So I think the word unsafe, I remember a long time ago, many, many decades ago, I remember seeing my first drunk person, and it made me really, because it was quite confronting and I think I was about 12, or 13 I was, and it really made me feel unsafe. And when someone feels unsafe, not just yourself, but obviously younger people, what kind of pressure does that create in your little group? Is it something that's you can manage or you can work through with positive stories and again that connection with your peers and connection with some older people that perhaps aren't drinking? Are those things helpful?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah. So, is there a place that you can go to, or someone that you can go to when you're feeling unsafe?
Sometimes I go for a walk to the park. Sometimes I go to my friend's house just to sleep there. When there's a lot of noise, violence.
Yeah. Do you find that some of is there any younger ones that'll come to you to be a bit safer, or?
Yeah, but they just don't think.
So you become a support person for some of the younger siblings and younger people in your mob.
Yeah.
That's powerful, mate. That's quite powerful. And I like. I mean, none of this is new, rocket science, but when you're feeling unsafe and others aren't feeling unsafe, creating a safe space, finding a safe space, being there to talk, sharing the load, finding a place to be quiet. Again, disengaging wisely and then re-engaging later, and is very important for building resiliency, because it helps keep you as a person who's a really strong mob member, and you adding value to your family and doing that, and the younger kids will see that, and when it comes to our peers, our friends, as you've done with your band, the same thing. We're doing this together to support one another, to become strong as a culture, to become strong as individuals, to make a difference in our society. I think that's outstanding, mate. I think that's worth continuing with. I just want to sort of finishing up a bit, but what do you, as a Gen Now, you're a Gen Now Indigenous person, young man, believe your mob needs to stay away from the mess? That is substance use, alcohol, particularly alcohol. What would that look like in your setting? So what are some of the things you may already have them there, or some things you'd like to see? What are some of the things you think your mob needs to stay away from this disrupting stuff?
Like, we need someone to, like a mentor, to lead us out of that.
So a mentor, which is great, obviously a model, and education would be part of that, you think?
Yes.
Education and not how to use alcohol safely, because there is no safe use from the age of 30.
Yeah, and even here, like, we've had students with vaping and different things that we're trying to make them see the dangers in all that. That people think stuff is cool, but coolness can certainly harm you, and that's and I guess getting beyond the peer pressure and things, is being strong enough to make those choices, to stand on your own, and even to take other people with you, and or whether and that's where the mentors come in, and he's a mentor to others, and I know perhaps they don't listen to him all the time, but there is, if they want to know someone they can rely on, they'd come to Rahima. So because of the choices he has made so far.
That's powerful, mate. And I think you can never start too young. And I think the fact that you're engaging in that as a man is really, really important. And you're right. People aren't going to always listen to you, my friend. It's welcome to life. It's kind of the deal. When it comes to the whole peer pressure thing, what helps you? I mean, and going back into the culture, your cultural connection, your time in country, that kind of stuff. What is it? Some of the key, what we call we call our bungee rope, as mentioned before. What are the you need to have 3 strands to weave your bungee rope. What are some of the key things that help you go, now, I don't need to play in this space. I'm okay. I don't need to step into the alcohol and the vaping, and I can. What are the things that hold you away from that and help you help others step away from that?
Some families tell me not to do that because it kills your body, and especially health. Like, you see other Aboriginals in dialysis from
Renal failure, kidney failure. Yep.
from alcohol.
Yeah. So there's both. Yeah. So I guess so you're saying that there are some key family members that have spoken to him and said not to do it, and he's wise enough to listen to them. But he's also observed, some of the catastrophes of lifestyle and choices that people make that might lead to stuff like kidney dialysis and renal failure, and just having a limited future in physically, if no other way.
Yeah, and those two things, it's interesting. They make very good. A good model sadly, taking notice of a bad model. They can be very, very the same coin, but very important. And also, as you're developing a cultural voice with your music and your involvement in sport and being a role model there, so you're being a role model. You're listening to good role models. You're seeing the outcomes of good practice, like eat the right foods, good fresh water, good place to live, education. All that's adding to me. I can make smarter choices, but I can also go, you know what? These are things that I'm going to step away from, and I'm going to help others step away from, because I see where that leads, and I think that's very powerful, mate. You'll get a link to your band tracks and Yarara TV, which is part of the school. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. So what we're going to do when we launch the podcast is we'll try and get some of those bits and pieces. If you've got something you want to send us and some photos and images, that'd be awesome. We can put those up, and we'd like to promote your work. And mate, thanks for coming on. It's not easy. I mean, it's not easy sitting in front of a camera talking to a stranger. So I really appreciate you doing that, and I like your quiet demeanour, my friend. It's good, and I appreciate that. Anything you particularly else you want to say, or?
No.
You're quick with that, no.
Nah, no worries. I'm done. Turn this off. Get off. No, look, thanks, guys. Really appreciate that. It's a good little insight, and
maybe too, just something I'll throw in at the end. And this is a definition that I made up a number of years ago when I was even just this whole the idea of reconciliation. It's got to do with coming together and things. But my personal definition that I sort of played with it for a number of years is that to be reconciled means that you're restoring disconnections. And there's for Indigenous, well, for all of us, we get disconnected from family, we get disconnected from God, we get disconnected from each other, we get disconnected from country. Some people get disconnected from their language. And to be reconnected with those things is really important. And so, and Rahima here, I guess, has got a bunch of he mixes with other cultures, like other Indigenous cultures here at the school. When he goes home on of a weekend or in school holidays, there's connecting with land and culture and family then too. So all those things are just, and like with all of our lives, there's positives and negatives, but it allows him to stand strong. And he demonstrates that day by day, with even just stuff like, coming to every class, always giving his best, doing, and the same as on the football field and everything with his band work, his keyboard playing is developing. So all those things are, he's doing his best. He's staying connected to the important parts of his life. And all those things are adding up to him being, having a bright future where really, if he continues going that way, he can do whatever he wants, be whatever he wants. And if things don't work out, he'll create a plan B or something that'll still give him a great future. And I think all those things are important, and so that's why he's usually a bit more freer with his words, but but either way, you've got a little, we captured a little bit there today, and we all live in the same world together, and here he is, he's sharing a bit of his perspective on things, both as a young person, but also as an Indigenous young person. And, I'm learning more from him all the time too, as I hope he learns a little bit off me as his teacher.
Absolutely. No, and appreciate the time, Rahima. I really do. And look, there's been some really good little insights. We want to get that message out to a young generation, whether they're in First Nations or otherwise. Young people need to know what it's like, what factors are needed to become resilient, and particularly the factors that enable you to push back against this ever-increasing propaganda of drug use and alcohol use. It's just a shortcut to, a mess. That's all it is. And it's been sold as being cool, And so the stuff you've shared with us today is helping young people just put cool in its place. So, well, this actually doesn't rate in culture. I've got better things to do, better places to be, and better people to hang with. So, that's part of the deal, and that kind of model is what all Australians need. So, thank you for that, my friend.
As we wrap up today's session, remember, each step towards understanding is a step away from unnecessary harm. We're here to empower, inspire, and pave the way for optimal well-being. Stay resilient, stay informed, and continue being the change your community needs. Thank you for joining us at the Unnecessary Harm Podcast. Until next time, take care and keep pushing forward.